Alright, you lot, let's get this circus rolling. Now, before we start, quick shout out to poor twonks who got the knickers in a twist of it last week's video. Especially this one, who suggested this video so you can roast my favourites. Honestly, if I cared that much about a bunch of pixels, I'd think about reassessing my priorities. But before we crack on, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe and all that bollocks. Keeps the channel alive and saves me from selling my soul to dodgy mobile game sponsorships. Right, let's give you something to roast, shall we? Alright, diving straight into number 10 with that signature bite, Need for Speed Underground on GameCube. Game that made every 12-year-old think they were the next big thing in street racing, despite not even being old enough to drive a lawnmower. You remember it, don't you? Neon lights, over-top customisations, and a soundtrack so early 2000s it might as well have come with a free pair of frosted tips. But here's the thing, this wasn't just any racing game. Nah, this was a game that turned every Tesco car park into a make-believe Fast and Furious set. Back then, slapping a tribal vinyl on your virtual Honda Civic made you feel like a god, and drag races? Pure adrenaline. Until you realise you wrapped your ride around a lamppost because you mistyped gear shift. Sure, physics were dodgier than politicians promise, but who cared? We weren't playing for realism, we were playing to be absolute legends in our tiny bubble of gaming glory. Need for Speed Underground wasn't just a game, it were a lifestyle. Let's see who's brave enough to argue with that in comments. Moving on, let's keep nostalgia train rolling. Here's number 9, giving Muse Dash its moment in spotlight. Oh, you weren't expecting this one, were you? Bet you thought it were all going to be shooters and races. But nah, this one's here to prove that even my cold dead heart can appreciate something colourful, quirky and downright bonkers. Think of Muse Dash as love child or a rhythm game and an anime fever dream. It's all about smacking enemies in perfect time to some absolute bangers, while bright chaotic visuals practically sear your retinas. And don't get me started on characters, each one cuter than last. But don't be fooled, this game don't pull its punches. Miss a beat or two and you'll know about it. What really sells it though, is satisfaction of nailing a perfect combo. It's like gaming ASMR. And yeah, maybe it's not kind of game you'd expect from someone who spends half their life screaming down a headset in shooter lobbies. But even hardcore gamers need a little variety, eh? Right, let's move on before you lot start thinking I've gone soft. Time to eat things up with number 8. Let's talk about Frosty Gem that is Lost Planet Extreme Condition. A game colder than your ex's heart and twice as unforgiving. This were Capcom's big middle finger to anyone who thought they could handle a bit of harsh weather. Set in a frozen hellscape of a planet, you're chucked into battles against colossal alien bug things called acrid, while your character's thermal energy ticks down faster than a dodgy petrol gauge. Don't screams fun like freezing to death mid-battle, right? But here's the thing, despite its brutally short survival timer and difficulty curve steeper than a mountain or ice, Lost Planet were bloody brilliant. Grappling up mechanics? Chef's kiss. Swinging around icy cliffs and planting yourself perfectly on a giant alien's weak spot. Pure satisfaction. And don't even get me started on mech suits. You didn't feel like an absolute badass stomping around in vital suit. Were you even playing it right? Short story were forgettable as that kid from school who were always borrowing your pen, but let's be honest, we weren't here for plot, we were here to blast aliens, freeze our asses off, and look cool doing it. And it delivered on all counts. Now who's brave enough to say this game don't deserve its spot on list? I'll wait. Moving on, let's dive into some proper classic territory. Here's number 7, featuring legend that is Call of Duty 2. Let's take it back to where it all began, or at least where it properly took off. Call of Duty 2. Before the franchise got bloated with battle passes, skin bundles and over-top sci-fi nonsense, there were this absolute gem. This was war, pure and simple. No fancy jetpacks, no wall running, just you, your rifle and a bunch of Nazis to mow down. Classic. Remember the first time you stormed Point de Hoc in D-Day mission? Absolute carnage. Bullets flying everywhere, your squad shouting over each other, explosions going off every 2 seconds. It were like Saving Private Ryan, but you were one getting blown to bits. And best part, no regenerating health. You had to earn those medkits, mate. You didn't get to cower in a corner waiting for the screen to stop being bloody. Multiplayer? Forget it. This were all about campaign, and what a campaign it was. From freezing Russian front lines to scorching deserts of North Africa, Call of Duty 2 took you on a whirlwind tour of World War II. And let's not forget the legendary sniper mission, hiding in rubble, waiting for just right moment to pop German in head. Pure bliss. Anyone out there saying this game don't hold up, you're either too young to remember it or you're a lost cause. Right, next game. And let's kick this into high gear with number 6. Time to talk about one and only Battlefield Bad Company 2. Now this what shooter that separated real players from spawn camping Call of Duty kiddies. Forget quick scoping and kill streak spam. This were all about massive maps, team play, and blowing absolute bollocks out of everything on sight. Destruction 2.0. You didn't level entire building just to squash one poor bastard hiding on second floor. Were you even playing Battlefield? Campaign? Underrated as hell. Sure, it had usual America Saves Day nonsense, but dialogue? Pure gold. You had a squad full of sarcastic nutters who made every mission feel like a lad's night out with heavy weaponry. But let's be real, no one bought this game for its story. Multiplayer what real star here, 64 player chaos, vehicles everywhere, sheer joy of jumping into a helicopter only to crash it within 10 seconds. And can we talk about sound design? Every shot, every explosion, every scream, it all felt real. Like you need a fresh pair of pants after playing real. Combine that with massive dynamic maps, and you had a game that felt like war, not just a quick skirmish in a corridor. Look, if you didn't play Bad Company 2 back in the day, you missed out on one of the greatest multiplayer experiences ever. I don't make rules. Let's keep this list moving before I get too nostalgic. It's time to dive into golden days of split-screen chaos. Here's number 5, featuring iconic GoldenEye 007. Game that turned every living room into a war zone, and friendship into ticking time bomb. Back in the day, this wasn't just a game, it were a rite of passage. 4-player split screen on a tiny CRT. Everyone huddled so close you could smell Dorito crumbs on your mate's jumper. And don't even try to act like you weren't bastard who picked odd job just to be a smug little prick. This wasn't about fancy graphics or smooth frame rates. It were pure gameplay brilliance. Maps, iconic. Facility and tempo still haunt me dreams. Weapons, absolute chaos. Remember the satisfaction of landing a clean headshot with golden gun? What sheer hilarity of spamming remote mines and turning every hallway into a death trap? Yeah, this were peak gaming, and we knew it. And campaign? Bloody fantastic. Sneaking around as James Bond, taking down goons, blowing stuff up in glorious blocky fashion. Didn't get much better than that. Every mission felt like you were in the middle of a classic Bond film, minus dodgy one-liners and questionable fashion choices. Sure, it's aged about as well as milk left out in the sun, but who cares? GoldenEye 007 was, and always will be, stone cold legend. And if you disagree, you clearly never got to scream "screen cheater" at your mate while throwing hands over who got last slice of pizza. Next game coming up. Time to dial up violence and nostalgia with number 4. Let's talk about carnage fest that is Mortal Kombat 3. Now this wasn't just a game, it were a proper initiation into world of button mashing, bone crushing madness. Back in the 90s, MK3 had every kid screaming at the telly, right before ripping someone's spine out like it were an after-school snack. Absolute class. Roster was stacked. Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Liu Kang, and my personal favourite, Striker. Yeah, Striker. Bloke rocking a backwards cap and a couple of grenades, proving that even a local bouncer could throw hands with gods and ninjas. And those fatalities? Pure gore-soaked poetry. There was something weirdly satisfying about turning your opponent into a pile of mush, then casually selecting restart match like a sociopath. But MK3 wasn't just about violence. Well, mostly it was, but still. It had speed, combos, and some of the tightest gameplay in fighting game history. And who could forget cheesy voiceovers? Still rings in my head to this day, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Let's not pretend it were perfect though. AI? Brutal. You'd either crush them like a pro or get juggled into oblivion by some pixel-perfect maniac who clearly had no chill. But that's what made it great, kept you coming back for more punishment. Right, let's keep fist flying at number 3. Time to celebrate glorious chaos of Tekken Tag Tournament. Game that made family game nights feel like full-blown MMA events. This wasn't just a fighting game, it were a bloody masterpiece of martial arts mayhem. Tag in, tag out, rinse, repeat. Except you weren't rinsing out because you were too busy spamming Eddie Gordo's dance moves like a proper cheap shot artist. What made Tekken Tag special were its sheer madness. You could pair up most ridiculous teams. King and Kuma, a wrestling jaguar and massive bear? Sure, why not? Combos? Insane. If you got caught in one of those never-ending juggle strings, you might as well put controller down and make a cuppa. And arenas? Gorgeous for the time, with just enough space to absolutely obliterate your opponent against the wall. Then there were secret characters. Unlocking them felt like finding gold, except this treasure were ready to kick your teeth in. Oh, and let's not forget soundtrack. Absolute bangers that had you ready to throw down before the match even loaded. Sure, AI could be a right pain in ass, pulling off impossibly perfect counters like they had psychic powers, but that's where real fun was. Shouting at screen, throwing your PSP in frustration, and immediately picking it back up for another round. Cause deep down, you knew you had what it took to pull off one insane combo you saw online. Now, moving on before Tekken fanboys get the gloves on. Next, let's hit retro feels hard with number 2. It's time to pay tribute to platforming legend, Alex Kidd in Miracle World. This game was like Sega's cheeky little way of saying, yeah, we got a mascot too, and he's got fists of steel. Before Sonic came spinning onto the scene, Alex Kidd what kid every gamer knew and loved, or hated, depending on how many controllers they'd smashed after another bloody jankum match. Let's be real, this game didn't hold your hand. One wrong move, and you were swimming with pixelated fishes. But that's what made it so bloody brilliant. From hopping across floating islands to smashing through walls with that iconic punch, every level were a perfect mix of charm and challenge. And don't get me started on vehicle. Motorbike? Helicopter? Yeah, please. Just don't crash, cause Alex wasn't exactly known for his second chances. Bosses? Oh, they didn't just fake you, they humiliated you with bloody rock, paper, scissors. Lose a jankum match, and you feel your soul leave your body as Alex got squished like a bug. But when you won, pure triumph. It was as if gaming gods themselves were smiling down on you. And music? Absolute earworms. You'd hum those tunes for days, years in my case, whether you wanted to or not. Sure, by today's standards, it's basic as hell, but back then, it was pinnacle of platforming perfection. Right, who's ready for some Hedgehog action? Let's roll on to the next one. Time to bring this list on with number 1. Let's talk about Blue Blur himself, Sonic Hedgehog. Spiky blue speedster who's been sprinting through our lives and sometimes tripping over his own games since 1991. Whether you played on Mega Drive, Dreamcast, or out in between, Sonic was king of gotta go fast, long before your internet connection were measured in gigabits. Let's start with originals. Sonic 1, 2, and 3 and Knuckles. They weren't just platformers, they were a test of reflexes and nerve. You'd blast through Green Hill Zone feeling like an absolute boss, only to face crushing realisation that Labyrinth Zone were about to ruin your day. And let's not forget Casino Night Zone, equal parts mesmerising and maddening as you try not to lose all your rings in one spin at slots. But Sonic wasn't just about games. He were a pop culture icon, a rival to Mario, and a reminder that coolness mattered just as much as gameplay. Franchises had its ups and downs, looking at you Sonic 06, but when it's good, bloody legendary. Then there's soundtrack. Every game's OST slaps harder than Robotnik falling out of his Eggmobile. From jazzy tunes at Chemical Plant Zone to guitar riffs at Live and Learn, Sonic's music is kind of thing you'd blast even if you weren't playing game. Sonic's legacy? Untouchable. And while modern entries might have the stumbles, core of what makes Sonic great is still there. Speed, style, a whole lot of fun. And there you have it, my top 10 favourite games of all time. Some of you are probably nodding in agreement, while others are sharpening the pitchforks ready to roast me in comment. Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. Bring it on, I live for chaos. And don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds and helps keep this madness going. Got questions? Hot tech? Want to argue about why GoldenEye is overrated? Drop it all in comments. And who knows, I might just feature your rant in a video. Also, if you want more banter and behind the scenes nonsense, join Discord. It's a proper madhouse. Follow me on Twitter for more of my unfiltered ramblings. And if you're feeling extra generous, consider becoming a channel member. Exclusive perks, early access, and you'll be helping me not to starve. What's not to love? Links are all in the description below. Now go on, spread word, start a debate, and I'll see you next time, you magnificent.